Like, I would typically start with Set in School, and my kids would be coming in from recess, and they'd kind of just be getting to the carpet, and we'd just be doing that song so they can kind of come in and join without any interruptions. And then I would probably start into my lesson. So writers, today we're going to do some writing just like we do every day, and our writing time will always look the same. Mrs. Frank will always teach you a mini lesson, and then you are going to have some think time and some writing time. And so today what I want today I need to decide what I want to write about. So I'm going to think about what I might like to write about. Watch me as I think. I think I might like to write about rainbows. You know what? I don't know a lot about rainbows. I think when I write about something, I should write about something that I know a lot of things about, something I do, something I really care about. I'm gonna think some more. I know, I have a really funny story about my dog, Hank. I'm gonna write about my dog, Hank. So, watch me as I write. I'm gonna start with a quick sketch. Remember, I don't spend too much time on my picture because I really want to get to my writing. You know, this story is really not so funny. It's kind of gross. When I went walking with my dog Hank, he got 30 ticks on him. Do you know what ticks are? They're those gross little bugs that want to drink your blood. So I'm going to write that. I'm going to write.
We're hooked.
When I took Hank walking, he got 30 ticks. And I'm not actually sure if ticks has a K or not. Just a side note. When you are doing a mini lesson with your kids, you might, in your mind, think, oh, I should talk about the spaces. Oh, I should talk about a capital letter on the beginning of that name. Try and refrain, because that's when your mini lessons start to go long and you're throwing too many things at their little brains. The only thing I'm really going to want them to take from this lesson today, well, not the only thing, but the main purpose of my lesson today is to think about topics. So, okay, so going on. Let's see. When I took Hank walking, he got 30 ticks. I had to pick all the ticks off him. And you know what? Ticks don't die very easy, so I had to flush them down the toilet. I flushed them down the toilet. I would even write on there that I think Hank was happy that I took those ticks off him. Girls and boys, did you notice that when I picked a topic today, I picked something that I know about and care about? And as writers, when we write every day, we'll need to write the things that we know about and care about so that we have lots of good stories to share and lots of good things to write down. So writers, when you go off today, or when we start our thinking time, I want you to think about something you know about and care about that you could put down on paper. And then I would give them their think time, their share time. I usually have them give a thumbs up symbol when they've done sharing. There again, there's your mini lessons. You have to teach them how to share. You have to teach them what it sounds like to be, or what it feels like to be the listener, what it feels like to be the talker. And the other thing that I would do then is I would check in with them. And I would say, Evan, what are you writing about today? I'm writing about, and I would say, off you go. And I would check in with every single one, and you think, oh, Lord. but it goes fast. Your high kids, or not necessarily your high kids, but your kids that are really all about writing, they may have told you what they're going to write about when they came in the classroom that morning. I can't wait for Writers Workshop. I'm going to write about, it happens daily when you have Writers Workshop going. They are so enthusiastic and they've got that story ready to go when you've trained them up. So at first it might feel kind of tedious to check in with them, but the follow through on that is when you brush by a desk, there isn't any time dilly-dally. I know you were going to write about, what have you said about that? Or I heard you say, get that down on your paper. You have that instant point. There's no messing around. And I will have one or two that will go through phases where they just really couldn't come up with anything. And I'll say I'll come back to you, and then maybe I'll sit with them for a minute or two afterwards, and we'll start with questions like, what'd you have for breakfast? What'd you do last night? Write that. And sometimes they might, like Allie and I talked about, they might think, you're a crack woman, I am not writing about Rice Krispies. But you know what I did do? It's just that nudge, or maybe they needed a few more extra minutes of your time, that sort of thing. But they all have something in there that they can write about. They might copy you. And the idea that I started out with saying I'm going to write about rainbows, you will inevitably have 5 kids that write about rainbows that day. And there's your opportunity to touch in with them and say, do you know a lot about rainbows? Have you had an experience with rainbows? And they might say yes, and then you push them to go with that. You will also have, like, your kids that never want to be wrong. They will spend time writing about their dogs, whether they have them or not. They will write what you had. It's a starting point, and eventually you will nudge them out of that, and you will generate the idea that they really have their own great creative ideas and thoughts, and that they need to put them down. So there's so many things happening in that span of that mini lesson and that writing time.
Okay. Why don't you guys just take just a moment to visit about the lesson itself, to visit about what was the purpose of it, and a little bit about the language.